Hello and welcome to Political Paradigm. I'm Terry Ikumi. Today we are at the Hilltop Mansion, the government house Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. And you guessed right, our guest is the executive governor of the state, Pastor Umoeno. Welcome to Political Paradigm.
Thank you, Terry.
And
Thank you.
Nice to speak with you again.
It's always a pleasure.
Last time you were a candidate, now you're the governor. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I think we're going to go straight into the conversation. It's your 100 days in office we're trying to talk about and know how far you've gone and what's left. You had huge promises for your people. But before we talk about that, let's look at what you met on ground in Akwa Ibom State. It's been ruled by the PDP since 1999. And it's been good tales. So I'd like to find out from you first, what was the state of this state when you took over as governor?
Thank you so much, Terry. Thank you for coming to talk with us. I'd like to thank Nigerians for the support that we have received, particularly Akwa Ibomites all over for their support in the last 100 days. It's been overwhelming and I owe it to them. We also get our inspiration from God and from them, you know. The state had been very steady. And the last time I think I mentioned it, Akwa Ibom has been blessed over the years with very, very good leaders. Every leader comes with his own vision, with a focus, and they pursue it in such a way that you can see like a relay race. You hand over baton and then the race continues and until we'll get to the finishing line, if you will. The state, during the last administration, had developed several infrastructures, industries, and all of that. So the state has been opened up so much. And so we didn't really have difficulties taking off. And we have had the cooperation of all of the previous governors contributing one way or the other, particularly the last governor, who I refer to as my political father. He's been very, very supportive. That's the truth about it. And so I think the state is steady, very steady. We met a steady state and we're just, if you like, continue and add up, you know, just to move on to the next level.
You know, anybody who's followed Akwa Ibom would understand that from governor to governor, the unity stays. Even when God to Akwa moved to the APC, I recall that you received him well. I think you were in Abuja to receive him and felicitate with him as well. And now it moves me to the question of something that's unprecedented in the history of the country. You retained the appointments made by Governor Udom Emmanuel, his commissioners, and I think the other special advisors. What informed that decision?
You know, you don't change a winning team, to be honest with you. I was a member of the high school, and it is clear to me, you start from the known to the unknown. Generally, even in school, your teacher will tell you, answer the questions that you are familiar with before you start dealing with the difficult questions. So these are all my colleagues, so to speak. I was just privileged by the grace of God to be picked, you know, and then God gave me the opportunity to run the campaign. So I know their capability, I know their capacity. You needed to have people that are already familiar with issues. They can give you briefs and with facts. That's one part. Secondly, it is good for the state because it makes taking off very smooth. You're taking off with the people that you know, and then you now begin to settle into office. Secondly, like I keep saying, one of the things I've also discovered in our political system is during the campaign, it came up a lot, the reward system. People will complain, they did this, they did that, and then now that the government is in place, others have hijacked it. And I am trying as much as I can to be careful that people that rooted for you, if you know that we had a lot of people that didn't even believe that we'll go anywhere in this race. But there were people also that had to say, look, we believe in you, we'll work with you, and we know you can deliver. And now that God has helped you, you are in office, you don't start by throwing those people away. You must be sure that they also feel justified that they rooted for you. So you needed, all of those commissioners worked. They worked, and I can tell you. So the best thing to do, naturally, is to also say to them, thank you. But not thank you because they don't know what they're doing, but thank you because I believe in what they're doing. Like I said, I was in ESCO. I left to contest the election. So they're all my colleagues. I know them. It's easier for me to relate with them. They relate with me. And the state is better off for it.
No, I said we're not used to this because there's always something called the reward system, and then there's the idea of families getting involved. How do you balance what you've just said with reward system for outsiders who worked for your election and then the expectations of family?
My family don't get involved in governance. As a businessman, people who know me know that I try to keep family out of it. I try to keep family out of business, because once you begin to do that, it's always a sure way of killing the business. So there's a clean line.
Governance is serious business.
Yes, and governance is serious business. So you try to keep family away as much as possible. They can help domestically. They can assist you because, of course, they're the closest people you trust, but you don't bring them into governance. I try to stay away from that.
Very well, then, you're not just sticking to status quo, you're making some changes as well. One of which is the local government councils. I saw the statements telling them to stick to their local governments. Could you explain how you're using that to effect proper governance at that level?
Unknown to me, really, that there's even a law. We sent a new law to the House of Assembly to help us, and then they said, look, there's already a law mandating local government chairmen, their deputy and secretaries to stay within their local government. The truth is, if you have a local government chairman stay in his local government, there's no way that local government won't be developed, because he will make sure security is taken care of. He will make sure lights, he will make sure there's water, good roads, and you can work with them. Our government is actually focusing on rural development, and you can't do rural development without working with the local government chairman. So the best is stay in your area, understand, so that when we talk about your local government, or if we are doing any project there, you can also be part of the team supervising that project. We can't all come and live in Uyo. For example, I used to live in Eket. I could say I want to continue living in Eket, but Uyo is the state capital, and you as a governor will stay in the state capital. So the same thing, every local government chairman, you are elected by that local government. You stay there and serve them so that we can work together. I think that's just the principle, that if you are around there, you want to make sure things go well. There are some local government chairmen that don't even go to their local government. They don't go to work. They don't. We need to correct some of these things. Democracy, I believe, is to serve the people, improve their welfare, and you can't do that as an absentee chairman or from a distance. You must be within the people.
Well, another change you're making is with regard to your air travels. We saw you fly commercial, Ibom Air to be specific. The idea was to promote Ibom Air, but there are concerns regarding the private jet of the state. What do you intend to do with it? Because I know that there have also been calls to say that maintaining it costs so much. So now that you are trying to promote Ibom Air, what is the plan with the private jet?
Well, I don't really see, I think sometimes people just make big story out of nothing. Flying Ibom Air is 100% Akwa Ibom State government. And like I said in one of my interviews, I need to promote our brand. Bome Air is doing quite well. So I'm like the chief marketing officer. So there's nothing wrong. I only stopped flying Bome Air 3 months ago. I will return to fly Bome Air after my tenure. So what's wrong in flying an airline that is yours, and you just to be sure that the system still run, you get to meet the people, you see your boarding pass, you look at all of those things, to be sure that we're still doing well. The private jet is there, and there's no way you want to. The governor needs a standby aircraft because of the very duty that he performs. He is required to be at this point at a particular time. He wouldn't have to have a scheduled flight, and he cannot. So you don't overflog that. But for me, my own style is that I identify and try to promote what we have. And Bome Air belongs to Akwa Ibom State government and Akwa Ibom people, and I'll continue to fly it. Once in a while, I just feel like going commercial, meeting the people. In that aircraft, you meet several people. It's an opportunity to see your people, chat with them. They walk up to you. People that ordinarily will not see you are able to tell you, "Oh, Your Excellency, this is going on. Have you observed this?" So anything that gives me that opportunity to meet people, I don't want to be caged in. Oh, government house, people can't come. You fly a private jet, people don't see you. Most times, that's why people argue. When you get into government, you only get to see a few people who tell you what you want to hear. Most times you need to step outside the box and meet people who will tell you the real thing. And you still connect with the people. That's just the idea behind it.
Very well, then let me, as we're going into the other details of this conversation, let me first congratulate you. 100 days in office. What progress have you made specifically with the Arise agenda, which you promised your people?
Thank you so much. The Arise agenda is the mantra that we run, that we campaigned and we're running with, and it's an acronym for agricultural revolution, rural development, infrastructural maintenance, and development, security, and then education, environment, entrepreneurship, all of those. And in all of those areas, in the last 3 months, we have, I would say, covered all of it. With the agricultural revolution, we are working with the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. We have acquired, again, working with the local government, between 50 and 100 hectares of land across the 31 local governments, because we want to begin to create model farms and use it as a place to train our young people and then make them go into agriculture. We have signed an MOU with the Songhai farms and for an integrated farming system. We're training our young people. Even before I became governor, I sponsored about 30 young graduates to Songhai farm so that when we start, we can bring them on. They finished and they are back. So we already have them to start the farm. On rural development, that has been everything we have done. We've started remodeling our primary schools. I just feel that we need to get our children to love school. It begins with the environment, the curriculum, the teachers, what do they wear to school, all of those things that will make a child ordinarily want to go to school and don't feel inferior to the other child. Because when we talk about school dropouts or people not going to school, all of these factors come to play. Does he really like the school? Then, so we're working on a model, and that will spread across the 31 local government area. As a matter of fact, we have launched the One Local Government, One Project campaign that we're doing we're doing now. And every local government across the state will have one project going for them per time. Then we'll start again. We have primary health care, again, rural development, that we have a model right now that we are constructing. We have awarded a few to some local governments, because it's not a one-size-fits-all. You have to know what is peculiar to that local government. We did a needs assessment with the World Bank during our campaign, and we have those needs assessment. The things I promised them, from there we are taking them one after the other. On infrastructure, we have started some roads, rural roads, and some interventions that has become very necessary for us. So while we are still also carrying on the other projects that was led by the previous administration. On security, we created a Ministry of Internal Security and Waterways to help create our neighborhood watch with our young people. We like I would say, every village knows everybody. And so we create these people and then make them community watchmen, and government recognizes them. They can give you intelligence, information, and they can also protect government's assets that is in their community and take ownership. This must be a deliberate effort. And of course, the Ministry of Internal Security will work with the communities to ensure that they cooperate with all of the security agencies in the state. That's then education.
I think we'll take them one after the other, because clearly were detailed. So it will be great to assess them sector after sector. But in all you've said, one of the things that I've picked up, especially because we had a conversation before the elections, was your concern with regard to job creation. The unemployment rate in Hawaii state is, I think, over 51%.
That's what they say.
I know you have always disputed that. You've also disputed the 70% poverty rate in the state as well.
That's why we're creating, we're to solve that finally. We have just sent a bill to the House of Assembly to create a Bureau of Statistics for our state. Because some of these figures, my argument has always been, we don't have a comparative analysis. People can come in, maybe they just do some on-the-spot checks around and then come up. As a state, we must also be able to say, this is our figure, this is what we've... And the only way we can get to do that is to create a Bureau of Statistics, which is, the bill is pending now. Once it's approved, we'll get on. So we'll be able to, side by side, say, how did you get your figure? When, are you working with our state? This is what the state is. And it's good we get it right to help us in planning.
Okay, so with regard to this job creation that we talk about, is it too early to ask you what you've done in the area of job creation? Perhaps if you have figures to show how many jobs you have created directly or indirectly.
With the Bureau of Statistics, I'll be able to give you figures. But when you're building roads, you're building model primary schools, when you're building your primary healthcare centers, when you're doing all of that, you're creating jobs, because these are handled by contractors. But so, as we get to have a Bureau of Statistics, you will now know clearly, and that's what we want to do. This contract, how many jobs is it going to create, for our people? So we know it, and for how long, how sustainable. We're also trying to create entrepreneurs. We're setting up, we've earmarked for entrepreneurial leadership and entrepreneurial development center. We are creating that so that our young people can go and they can be trained, they can test their ideas. We're creating a fashion hub and a leather hub. We're creating a business incubation center, all in the industrial park that we have earmarked and is being worked on right now. So 3 months, yes, we're creating jobs, but sustainable jobs I'll need another 3 months. I'll come out with the figures when all of those institutions are have properly taken off. Then we can tell you, because again, I like to talk to people on basis of percentage, and then we know exactly what we're doing.
But do you have an idea how many jobs you plan to create in the first 4 years of your administration?
I think
perhaps direct jobs.
Direct jobs every year, we should be able to work about 10,000 every year. You know, could be more, but I can tell you specifically in the areas we'll be creating those jobs. You know, particularly in the area of entrepreneurship. Once you create a fashion hub, once you create a leather hub, once you create an international market, once you do all of those, you can see that you have people directly hands-on doing something. And so by the end of this, by December, I should be able to come to you. If you interview me again 3 months from now, I'll be able to show you how many we have directly created. But I believe these contracts we're doing, the Akwa Ibomites are the one handling it, and where even they are non-Akwa Ibomites are the ones being engaged. Each of these contractors engage up to 1,000 people working at different levels, skilled and unskilled labor. So that's what we're doing at the moment.
I'm trying to understand how you will finance these projects, because I know that you walked into a budget of about 697 billion, and then the recurrent expenditure alone for that budget was 344. How are you sourcing the funding for these projects, for the job creation that you talk about?
You know that right now, apart from the federation account, we're trying to, when you create businesses, you are going to do your internally generated revenue. We have what we call the Aqua GIS right now, which we're going to launch. It's gone to an advanced stage. You'll now be able to know that we can increase our IGR. And once you increase your IGR, you're also depending on donor agencies that will support.
Will that be immediate? Because I know there's a projected revenue generation for Akwa Ibom State for this year, and it's about 390. So are you working with that figure, or are you trying to improve on that figure?
No, we're going to improve on that figure, because once you launch the Aqua GIS, that you're able to determine the exact rates and revenue that should come into your state in the various sectors, in your tenement rates and all of that. You can project and can get a lot of people don't even pay their tenement rate. So you can project it, you can get, and this is not for the poor people. For the elites don't pay. They don't pay. So you'll be able to pay, and we'll be able to rake in funds to be able to do the kind of things that we want to do. That's the way to go.
I think another thing that would be interesting with regards to increasing your revenue is foreign direct investment. I know that you're particular about that, but Akwa Ibom already this year, I think, got in $5.2 million. It seems like a lot of money. But when you compare that to, say, Lagos and Abuja, I think Lagos got about 600 and something billion. Abuja got 400 and something. There are 26 states that got almost nothing. But when you look at 5.2 million, it's not enough money with which you want to implement your ideas. So how are you attracting foreign direct investment?
You keep one, you put infrastructure in place. We're doing the industrial park, and to make sure that there's steady power supply, there's infrastructure around the park. We have about 150 parcellated property between 4,000 and 5,000 square meters, and we create the industrial park to be able to attract foreign direct investments. When people want to come to you, you have to offer them opportunities that they need. And so we're trying to create that first to be able to attract, and then we'll go on a road show. We market the state and our ease of doing business in the state. We're looking at that carefully. There's a committee that is handling that, and we believe that we should be able to have those quick fix around us to attract foreign direct investment. It's not just about saying it. It's about having the infrastructure on ground to support it, which is what we're pursuing right now.
So let's talk about education now. You know, the argument of whether or not the past administration fully funded the free and compulsory education is gone now. You're new, you're in charge now. But I don't know if you have investigated or if you actually found out the extent to which the government funded free and compulsory education and what you intend to do differently.
The government, the last administration, kept their word. They funded free and compulsory education. And the only thing I'm adding to the normal payment of exams fees is to make environment conducive. That's why we're coming up with model schools. How is the school environment? Are the teachers living on campus or in the school so as to help our young people? And that's what we're trying to do differently. Are we providing the necessary, the books, the school, the uniforms, the shoes, the things that will make a child, see, going to school, and I'm sure you will know this. I don't know which school you went to. I went to a local authority school. Within that same school, there were pupils that were, chauffeur-driven to school, look good, look neat. And there were pupils that tattered uniforms, and here you are in the same class. That already creates a complex around you. So how do you fight this? Let us provide all of these things and let us set a level playing field for all the students. You want the uniform is there, the shoe is there, the books are there, and then so you come together on one level. There's not, even within the same class, you don't have, then everybody can work together. The teachers are living on the school compound. You have like your headmistress, like your games master, like your Greek, so that they can checkmate the student, create that warmth around them. That's where we're coming in to help as much as possible to reduce the percentage you are quoting. Like I keep arguing, I don't have a comparative figure to counter it. That's what we're trying to do now. So some of the things, gaps we found, we're trying to now build around it to be able to say we bridge this gap and we get our students to school. That's just what we're doing.
I think one figure you will agree with is the WAEC figure, that Akwa Ibom is doing really well in that regard.
We're paying, and we keep paying. We'll continue doing that, but I want them, we can do better if you support these children with all of these little things. They might look small, but they're quite important because you want to create that confidence in every child that, look, it's not because I'm this rich dad, poor dad. You don't want to create that as a government. Give them that level playing field. You'll be surprised how a child from a poor background will compete and beat the child from a rich home if you take away complex from him.
Are you considering sponsorship for tertiary education students?
Well, of course, we have scholarship already. We have scholarship for bright students. We have scholarship for disabled. I put in a fund for all our disabled students. I find that if school fees shouldn't be part of their problems, I created, one of the things I did in my early days in office was to create a 100 million naira fund, and I've asked to set up a management, and I will review how these students access the money. We're working on that.
Health now. Let's talk about the health sector. Those who analyze Akwa Ibom State say that one thing that must be paid attention is their rural healthcare centers. Have you made any move in that direction?
Right now, if you ask anybody in Akwa Ibom, they will tell you I am pro-rural development, rural areas, because I grew up in that environment. And so I know what they go through. So we're building primary healthcare centers, and that's what I'll be investing in heavily at this time, because we want to connect them to the secondary healthcare centers, which the last administration invested very heavily on. So we're building primary healthcare centers. We're also trying to get digitalize our drug system so that we can get medications to these people. Because one of my challenges really, and we had that discussion in our last ESCO, it's not just about buying medications. It's about how do we get it to these people. So I believe it's not rocket science. We can do it. We can create digitalized platforms to be able to understand how these medications get to the rural areas, and we're doing just that.
So this, will the healthcare be free at the rural level?
It has always been free.
Okay.
It has always been free. We don't intend to change that.
But how do you, I know that there are concerns with regards to getting those in the rural areas to go to hospital. Is that a concern for you as well?
I believe that once you put health centers close
enough
to them, they will want to go. I think the concern is actually to get them to go to the general hospitals, because sometimes it's far away from them. Sometimes they have to queue. So, but if it's around them, and then they will go. They will go.
What's your plan for small businesses?
Oh, that's a big area. I told you about the IBOM leadership and the entrepreneurial development centers. If we need to. It's just not about creating a business or having an idea. You must test your idea. You must see with this idea. You must be exposed to some training. You have to also see what's happening globally right now. So if you have a business idea, I would like, as an entrepreneur, go and test the business idea. I used to run hotels before I got this job. When I wanted to go into the hotel business, not only did I do a business plan, I also had to go for some training. You know, I remember going to Dorchester in England and having like a 6-month program there, you know, just to be able to see how these things are practically. In Nigeria, what we have with a lot of our young people is they just have a business idea and they believe, you know, give us support, give us money, and then you find out that business just go up and come down because they didn't have all of the exposure to understand what they are contending with. So we're saying to our young people, we create a leadership and entrepreneurial development center. It's like a business school. Go there, spend 3 months, spend some time, test your ideas. They will take you through, and then we bring you to an innovation in business incubation center, which we're building, and then you are there for a year, and is an incubation center. You want to, whatever you've learned, will give you the infrastructure for 1 year to practice it, to support that dream. And I believe that way you can deal with the issues, you can understand what it is, there can be thorough supervision, and 1 year later you should be able to now play in the market. So you come out well informed, ready to face that business. So that's the process we want to. And then businesses that are already established, of course, we are going to support them. We'll support them so that it's also part of the palliative thing that was recommended. We'll know them, we'll support them, and say, we are deliberately supporting this business for you to grow.
I'm just curious as to what you're doing with regard to farming, agriculture. I know that that's something you're very particular about. But as it concerns young people, what are you doing to get young people interested in agriculture?
Young people we're trying to make them see agriculture as a business. And that's what we're doing. That's why we're creating model farms across the 31 local government areas, so as to train our people. And we're also saying to them, we have the previous administration started warehouses to offtake. You know, that's what we'll continue with, so that a young man knows that, look, if I go into farming, I have a market, ready market. Government is ready to offtake from me. And part of the things you're also going to learn in the business is to have, you know, your cash flow and see that, look, if you invest this is what you get at the end of the day. So government trains you, which is what we're doing, and then supports you to start your business. Until our young people, they must be able to Why would they not want to wear a nice suit like you're wearing? Why would they not? But from agriculture, you can do all of that. And we need to start showing them models. Until they see a model work, they don't believe you. Agriculture has gone beyond carrying a machete. There are lots of other mechanized ways of doing farm. That's what we're doing. We're creating an equipment leasing agency that will make sure that these equipment are available to our young people. They can come together as a group. They can, so as to be able to say, look, we own this farm. This is what we're bringing. This is what we're producing. And can we have a full value chain in this area? Government works with them to ensure that they create that full value chain. If they are planting cassava, they can harvest cassava and turn it to gari or starch and then sell. Then they begin to see how these things work together. That's the way to make our youth, our young people love agriculture.
And it would be interesting to introduce this to them while they're in school, at least, wouldn't it?
All our model primary school now have farms. That's what the one we're doing right now, we're putting a farm there so they begin to get used to it. And then, if for our civil servants, for our commissioners, I've told everyone 6 months from now, you still want to continue with us, I must see your farm. I have a farm. We must make it's a revolution that all of us must own farms. At least we should be able to feed ourselves.
Absolutely. On the issue of security, Akwa Ibom is relatively peaceful, one of the most peaceful states in Nigeria. But we hear some pockets of violence here and there, robberies, cultism, and that. Is that something that is a concern to you, and what are you doing to ensure that it stays relatively peaceful?
With the advent of any new administration, you know that some of these things will, the bad guys will want to test the will of that administration. And we've made it very clear that we'll continue our trajectory of peace. And we're working with the security agencies. And in Akwa Ibom, to be honest with you, we have the security agencies work in tandem with each other and very closely. And once there's no crack between the agencies, you can be sure that they can come together. That's what we're doing. We've created a Ministry of Internal Security and Waterways. We have a lot of threat now coming from the waterways, pirates and all of that. But we have recently approved, we have ordered about 14 speedboats, gunboats, that will help our security agencies to fight, because that's primarily where we have serious concerns now. And as we identify these things, we face them headlong to ensure that we continue to be a peaceful state, because it is only when that happens that we continue to attract investment to our states.
Absolutely. Let's talk about palliatives now. Interestingly, you're not one of the governors that was around during the COVID era. So a lot of people look up to new governors like yourself to do different. The 5 billion naira palliatives to each state by the federal government has been criticized. And you were at the meeting when the decision was taken. Were you in support of it?
You see, one of the things I do is if you're at a meeting, whether you were in support or not, once the decision is taken, I key into that decision. So my personal view now will not count, because that's the decision. And we're all there as governors. But the point is, I like to correct this on tape, that government has promised 5 billion naira. As a state governor, I have not received 5 billion naira yet. I've received 2 billion naira. And we're expecting the balance. And I know it will come. The day I receive it, I'll say so.
You know, the 5 billion naira is already criticized as paltry by the labor unions. And if you do the calculation, the labor unions say each person will get 1,600 and something naira in that regard. So if you've only received 2 billion naira, what was the conversation with regard to how much money you would receive over what period of time when that decision was taken? Because the expectation from a lot of Nigerians was that the 5 billion naira was available, even though it is small, it is a good place to start. So compare that to 2 billion naira, it's almost next to nothing. What was the conversation?
I'll talk about what my states have done.
No, we will come to your state.
No, I try to stay away from, speaking for everybody. I'm not the chairman of the Governors Forum. I'm not. So I will see. Governance is a very serious business, and you try to just. I'm governor of Akwa Ibom State, so let me concentrate myself in what we have done and what I think we should do, and what I believe we're doing generally.
Your Excellency, just before you do that, if you've received 2 billion naira, it's understandable that you don't want to speak based on the meeting because you don't want to go against the position of governors. But you've received 2 billion naira, which you agree is really small. What have you been able to do with 2 billion naira?
Not much, but what we have done is from the state, our state, we have tried to match and surpass that money. We have 2 billion naira, a bag of rice, 40,000 naira, and that will give you just 50,000 bags. But for Akwa Ibom, we have ordered 100,000 bags of rice. So that's 2 billion naira. We have matched the government's 2 billion naira. That's 4 billion to do 100,000 bags of rice. We have ensured that we pay our primary school, our teachers, our workers, state workers. We release their gratuity for 2 months running now. Something that, just to help those at home. We have paid, we are going to pay workers another about 2 billion over 3 months. Each worker should be able to have about 10,000 naira each month as a bonus, because we don't expect them to go to the villages and be struggling for what we're sending to the villages. We have also approved to pay bursary to students to help what they're doing. That will run into about another 1 billion naira. So if you put all of that together, what we've done, we've taken some steps to cushion for our market people. We've discussed with our market management people that, look, they have a free day, they don't pay tickets and all of that with the transporters, just to cushion this. I think, again, a one-size-fits-all will not work here. That's why I keep saying, let every state develop what plan works for their state, but let the federal government assist us in supporting that plan. Because right now we have to really bend over backwards to get funding, to support what the federal government has done. And by the way, the 2 billion is not like a grant. Some of it comes as a loan. So the state government will still, at the end of the day, be paying for the loan. So it's for me, I'm not big on always picking holes on things. I'm always looking at what to do with what I have. That's the way I've been trained. As a businessman, you don't keep complaining and complaining. The world doesn't stand by listening to you complaining. So whatever we get, we thank God for it. We thank the federal government for it. We try internally because at the end of the day, my people elected me not to give them excuses, but to serve them.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're doing.
One thing that's of concern to Nigerians, and as I said, yes, it completely exonerates you because you were not there during the COVID era, is a lack of trust between Nigerians and their governors, especially with the way they mismanaged the COVID-19 palliatives and, in some states, bailout funds. How are you carrying out this distribution such that transparency is visible to just about every Akwa Ibomite?
There are people that nothing you do will please them. So the first person you have to please is your conscience and God. And what I think, Akwa Ibom knows people know when you are transparent. I've just told you how much a bag of rice goes for, and it's 40,000 naira. This is what we get. I've mentioned that amount to you. With each village, we have 2,272 gazetted villages in Akwa Ibom. Each village gets 40 bags. Each village. I don't know when, I need to be corrected here, anything has been distributed in these states that you'll be told, we'll publish it. Each village gets 40 bags of rice. Then we send, then we take care of all other agencies, the police, the army, all of the agencies.
Are you distributing to the poorest, or are you just distributing to?
No, if it gets to the village, that's where the poorest of the poor lives. So if I send rice to your village head is the one collecting it, your youth president is the one there, the woman leader is the one there, and it comes to your village. You already know what's coming to the village. You need to see how this is shared. As it gets to the village square, everybody knows everybody, so they share it. If I find any means better than this, I will go for it.
Perhaps a social register?
No social register. Have you ever checked to verify that they are true? So you know the criticisms are back.
I know, I mean,
you know the criticism behind social register.
You talk about.
I can sit here and populate names that don't even exist.
So you think that social register won't do the work?
I don't think social register will do the work in this case than to physically deliver items to your village, and you're from that village. And those that are not able to go to the village, like the labor, we've given them cash for it. The people that are not from Akwa Ibom, they won't say they go to a village. The Hausa community, the Yoruba community, the Niger Delta community, the Igbo community, they have associations. You deliver to them and say, look, this is for your people because you live in Akwa Ibom, and we want to make sure that it goes round. For now, I'm someone that bows to superior arguments. If someone comes up with anything that will make us get to these people faster, then I will adopt it. But for now, this is what we think, and this is how we think these things will get to them. You know, drive it down to their villages, see the other people that are not going to, like, for example, if I'm from, say, the north, and I live in Akwa Ibom, I don't have a village, but I have the Arewa community. And so you deliver to them. They know how to get it across their people.
To the poorest.
Yes, to the poorest amongst them. And you see, for me, I said this very clearly to our people. These palliatives, you know, for me, is blood money. So if you are not among the poorest of the poor, and you keep this thing to yourself, or you shield it away from those, it means you want to exchange your position with them. The good Lord has a way this thing works. You know, if this thing is going to the poor people and you know you can afford rice, why are you going to steal? You know, that's how it is in my mind.
Let's hope they have a conscience then. Let's just hope they have a conscience.
That's how it is in my mind. So I'm not going to keep back anything.
But how will you respond to your political opponents who would say that perhaps you would use this as a political weapon and these things may go to just people in your party?
Well, over and over again, I've said it, this is for Akwa Ibom State, and that's why we're not sending it to our ward chairman. You won't hear anything PDP. It's the village head, the youth president, the woman leader. They are not on political basis, every village. So when it goes there, the rice is just there in the village square. And in the villages, you have everybody. It's for Akwa Ibomites. So that's, for me, I keep saying, we will monitor it as much as we can, but I can tell you it's nothing across, it's not about party here. It's not about party, it's about the people.
Okay, we're almost winding down now, but let me ask you this, perhaps respond to the agitations of the youths who were protesting, I think a few days ago. I don't know if they were protesting payment of your 5% of the 13% oil derivation.
Where is that in the Constitution? That you pay 5% to some faceless youths? You know, see, some of these things, a lot of our people misguide our youths. And you put youths together and say to them, 5 billion has been paid to your governor. Go and ask him what he has done with the palliative money. You gather youths together and make them believe they will get X% from derivation. Who does that? Where is it in the Constitution? And when you put youth together like that, we're supposed to be leaders. I believe that, for me, I will discuss everything and anything very openly with the Akwa Ibom people, because these things are not hidden. People, when you say government secret, do government really have secrets? Go to where we call the plaza here. You find that some of those documents you mark secret, they use them to wrap granuts in the plaza. So the best thing you do is to be transparent with your people. And for me, I got here by grace to serve, and I'll serve, and I will be prepared to render my account to the Akwa Ibom people at any time.
Let's talk quickly about the issue of the core members. I think they're from Akwa Ibom State that were kidnapped in Zamfara. I know that there are efforts to rescue them, but as governor, are you involved in the efforts to rescue the core members? Again,
that's a security issue, and I like to say clearly, we will not negotiate with kidnappers. We will not, as a government, do that. If I begin to do that, then I've opened the door to promote that trade. But am I involved as a government? Yes, we are. Where the security agencies are helping out, and I'm in touch with the Zamfara State Governor, my colleague there. We're working, we're talking, but some parents would say government have not issued a statement. I don't think there's any responsible government who will come on TV and say we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing that. But I can assure everyone that we're working with the security agencies and we're getting results.
The Buhari administration was accused of not fully being involved in state projects, especially in Akwa Ibom State, which is the largest oil-producing state. There is a new administration in place. Now, I know that you've been to see the president. Are you more optimistic with this administration with regard to federal presence in your state?
Yes, I am. I am more optimistic about this administration. The president has promised he will work with us, and I believe him. And he has shown signs that he will. A few agencies are talking to us, and so I have high hopes. And again, when I met with the president, I assured him that Akwa Ibom will cooperate and work with him. He's the father of the nation, and politics is all over. We now need to look at delivering the dividend of democracy to our people. This president is a politician and is a father, and I trust that he will see the need to work with all of the states, to ensure that we deliver the dividend of democracy to our people. Akwa Ibomites or the state government over the years have been the only one bearing the brunt. And like you rightly mentioned, I like to see one project that the last administration did in Akwa Ibom State as a federal government. But I begin to see and believe that that will change. There are already signs that it will change.
Very well then, if we could do a little bit of party politics now. The Akwa Ibom State has been under the PDP since 1999. Some say that it has indeed been a blessing. And there are those who say that that's what continuity does for every state. Do you agree that Akwa Ibom has benefited from the PDP for being under this party since 1999?
Without a doubt, I'm sure you can see how that continuity works. We rarely have abandoned projects. You see, because when you just come and bring in a different party, the first thing you notice is that even the good things that were done by automatically, so long as it came from them, doesn't work. But who suffers? The people, because it's taxpayers' money and the money that comes from federal allocation that would have been used to improve. So key projects that would have improved the life of the people just get abandoned. But we have seen the Akwa Ibom story is one story to look at. It's been continuous growth. You rarely will have an abandoned project. You keep. So that's why I believe that the PDP in Akwa Ibom as a party has been a blessing, because, we just continue to move. Every governor or every government comes with their own vision and focus. Now we're coming with rural development to tie up to all of the development that was, so that we can stop this rural-urban migration. And that's what we're coming with, at this time, and to try and spread development across the entire spectrum of the state.
It speaks to the unity of the PDP in your state. However, the PDP at national level seems to be undergoing some concerns, some problems. It raises a question. If the leadership of the party is not doing anything, as governors, but also leaders of the party, are you concerned about the state of your party, and what would the Governors Forum, PDP Governors Forum, do to address it?
First of all, there is no home that doesn't have issues. No home, even in our marriages, in our homes, with our kids. So I believe that is a phase. All this will also pass away. That's the best I can say.
Very well then. Your Excellency, Governor Moedo, I thank you very much for your time, and I wish you well. Thank you very much for
coming. Thank you so
on
much. Thank you for having me on your show. Thank you.
Well, that's Political Paradigm. Thank you very much for your time as well. Remember to catch this and other episodes by simply searching Political Paradigm on YouTube, or simply go to channelstv.com. I'm Terry Ikumi. Goodbye.